Watch it guys, just another gaming PC build here for you. Plenty of them out there on YouTube, so I'm just going to be doing the odd word here and there on this one and have a bit of music in the background for a change. So first off, I'm just going to be removing the bracket from the motherboard. The 4 screws hold this bracket down. I'm leaving the back plate in position here because I'm going to be using a third-party cooler for this one. Got the Ryzen 3500X for this one, and going to be putting that into the socket. Just line up the gold triangle on the bottom of the CPU here to the triangle on the motherboard and put her into position, and then pull the retention lever down. It's that simple. Now there's no right or wrong way of applying thermal compound. It doesn't really make much difference here. Just put just the right amount on the CPU and then just spread it out, or you can just leave it as it is in the center here. I prefer just to smear it out like this, but you can do yours the way you want to do yours when it's your build. Now you can use whatever cooler you want to use, but this is just the cooler I had to hand here, so I'm just going to offer this up and basically line these up with the back plate and then screw it down. That's simple. Once we've got this screwed down, go alternately on the screws and you should be good to go. Just got to attach these little fan hangers, and these go on the back of the fan and clip onto the actual cooler itself. Now for the cables, we've got the PWM cable, which is the power cable, and then we've got the ARGB cable that we need to plug into the motherboard as well. Now if you're not using an RGB cooler, then normally it's just the PWM power cable that you're going to need to power on the fan itself. But with this one, it does have RGB, which means plenty more cables. So let's get the RAM installed onto the motherboard. Just pull these little retention levers down. And that cable is really close to that little lever there, as you can see there for the ARGB. So what we're going to do here is just line up the notch on the board and slot her in, and then just push down until you hear a click. We can tidy these cables up a little bit later on. Now if you're going for an NVMe drive here, you can populate this area here, but we're just using an SSD for this build to keep the cost down, and also a mechanical drive for the games, which we'll sort out a little bit later on. So let's get that IO shield in and put this in the back of the case. Next up, check all your standoffs, make sure you got the right standoffs in the right positions, and then offer up your motherboard and put that into the case. All we need to do now is tighten down with the screws to secure the motherboard in place. The downfall side of RGB is tons and tons of cables which you have to cable manage. Now this is something I don't see many people covering on their channel, which is these very low end hard drive caddies. So basically this mounts the SSD on top and the hard drive inside the cage here. It's not a tallest design, it's a bit cumbersome, but I don't see a lot of people doing this correctly. They normally use sticky back tape and they just stick the SSD on top and they don't screw it down properly. I'm just going to do this properly just to show you how easy it is to mount the two drives on this. So first off, you're going to need to put your SSD on top and tighten down with 4 screws. Now let's get that hard drive put in now. What we need to do is put the hard drive in, and these are different screws to the SSD drive, so make sure you use the correct screws here. And this is mounted by 6 screws, but I'm only going to be using 4 here because that's plenty to hold this in position. Let me go ahead and screw these in. Now I tend to go for NVMe drives nowadays, the 1TB version. They're pretty affordable. And it just means you don't have to have these mechanical drives anymore, especially these 1TB mechanical drives. So I tend to go for NVMe drives nowadays. But didn't have none of these to hand and I had these available, so I'm going to be using them for this build. Like I said, I'm only going to be using 4 screws on the bottom drive here. That's plenty. Don't need to use 6 for this particular drive, but as you can see, it looks okay, and that's basically how it should look when it's done correctly, and you've not used any sticky tape to hold the SSD down on top, which I see a lot of people doing. Now these are pretty fiddly to line the holes up and get into position, but once you've got them into position, just use your thumb screws to put that hard drive caddy back in there correctly. Yes, it's a bit of a faff to get it all right, but that's exactly what you can expect when you're only buying a £50 case. And there's the end result. Looks okay, sitting in there nice and tidy. The connectors are a little bit close to the outside of the case, which made the cable management a really difficult task to cable manage in this case with a non-modular power supply. That's why I always tend to like to go for fully modular power supplies for easy cable management. But sometimes the budget doesn't warrant it and you have to go with what you've got, so that's what we're doing here. This is just held in with 4 screws, so just going to tighten these down and get this locked into position. And as you can see here, the cables are starting to mount up. That's all the RGB, all the front umbilical cords for the case, and also we have all of the power supply cables. Because it's not modular, there's a big heap of them here, and you really want to keep these into some sort of order here so it doesn't get really messy, so you can keep the cable management as tidy as you possibly can. It's never ever going to look the prettiest cable management job in the world, especially with a non-modular power supply, but you can do the best you can to try and keep the cables as tidy as you can in such a small case. Now if you're looking to build these and sell these for people, then I guess what I'm saying is get yourself a fully modular power supply. Yes, it will cost you a little bit more, but it will save you a lot of headaches in the long run, and also it will keep that cable management down to a minimum and make it look a lot more nicer on the finished build. Time to plug in all of the cables, the 24 pin, the 8 pin CPU cable and the audio USB cables, and all the front panel control cables. We need to put those all into the board as well now, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done. So that is all the cable management now done. It's as tidy as you're going to get it really with this amount of cables. The ketchup and mustard I can do nothing about unless I buy extension sleeves for these, but they're costing more money, and again it's more cables to tuck away around the back. So let's take a look here what we've got next to do. I'm going to use these cables to control all of the ARGB in the back of the case, because there's only a couple of these on the motherboard, so I want to make sure I control all of these with this cable. You can use hubs as well. After that I'm going to get the very rare to find nowadays a graphics card. This is an RX 580 which I had lying around, which I'm going to use in this. It's a brand new card, never used it, so I'm going to basically use this. I bought a bunch of these and they've been sitting around, so I may as well use them. Now I know there's a shortage of graphics cards right now, so I won't be price gouging this and putting it up there for ridiculous amounts of money. Probably only charge £130 for this card, even though it's a new card. I just want to get rid of them, and that's all they're about worth in my opinion. They're not worth any more than that for a brand new card, or even a used card. So let's get the graphics card all screwed in. I'm just going to put this little back plate in here which I had lying around. This is a used case because I did sell this PC to someone and they blew the motherboard, CPU and the power supply and tried to rip me off and get me to pay the damages for it. But I've got my money back, and basically I'm just rebuilding it and replace the parts that they blew, and we'll go ahead and get this finished off. I've just got to put the screw in here and hold the graphics card in, and we should be good to go. So this year's all finished. The ketchup and mustard cables let it down a little bit, but that's what you can expect when you buy a £40+ power supply instead of buying a fully modular power supply with better braided cables. You can replace those and put some extensions on there and make it look a little bit better. I've got the static color RGB here, red. It's showing up a little bit orangey, but it is deep red. A little bit too much RGB for my liking, but it seems to be what sells PCs and what people like. And I think it'll go to a good home and someone will get good use out of it. Now, I'm not going to be doing any benchmarks or anything like that in this video today. It's been quite a long video, and just wanted to get this one wrapped up and finished off. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below, and I shall see you again for another video real soon. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Big shout out to all my YouTube members who join my YouTube members group. I really do appreciate the support, and I shall see you again for another video real soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.